I've always had reservations against SUVs with coupe-like styling, and this segment of weirdness was created by the BMW X6 back in 2008, and ever since then, every major car maker has had a similar kind of a product in its catalogue. But I might be okay with the Q3 going all sportback and coupe-like at its rear end. So let's get on with the Audi Q3 Sportback in this striking shade of blue. The major point of discussion, and of course the very reason for the existence of this car, is the design. So let's talk about that first. Largely the car looks pretty similar to the regular Q3, and you will be hard pressed to tell the difference if you saw this one in your rear view mirror. One thing that gives this car a strong design definition are the haunches at the back. They have a bit of a Bentley Bentayga vibe to them, but then you will have to be a very ardent Audi fanboy to spot those haunches in passing. The rest is pretty regular Q3 stuff with some highlights here and there, but when Audi writes, and I quote, "Single frame grille in octagonal design and the side air inlets dominate the front," they're right and they're wrong. Right, because the single frame octagonal shaped grille does look very impressive, but these are not air inlets. These are fake air inlets. They are not inletting anything at all, so they're wrong on this part. Moving to the side, and it is the silhouette of the car that I really like. It is specifically because of the sloping roof and the raked out hatch. At the back, there is more fakery going on, and I just do not understand the sense of slapping on a fake diffuser-like element at the rear bottom. I understand the fact that they wanted the Sportback to look a lot sportier than the regular Q3 that it is based on, but to achieve that design and to achieve that sportiness, there are definitely better ways of doing it than this nonsensical solution. But the good part about the back-end design is that there are no exhaust tips, so the overall design is nice and very flowy, and it's all very continuous. Okay, that was the exterior, and now it is time for us to drive and talk you through the interior bits and also how the Sportback feels when you give it some throttle and steering. Now, first things first, I really like this chocolate shade of the upholstery. It looks absolutely fantastic, and Audi calls it Okapi brown. Now, Okapi is an animal. It is a Congolese giraffe, very, very peculiar, and yes, it is brown in color with some zebra stripes at the back. So that is where the shade of the upholstery gets its name from. Now the cabin experience. Seats are good, no doubt about it, but space not that much. It's just about average, but then you can't expect much from a car which measures a little over 4.5 meters in length, and a little less than 2.7 meters of that translates into the wheelbase. With my driving position set in, I did not find the experience of the back to be all that great because the knees were just short of rubbing the back of the front seats, and the back of the front seats is all very hard plastic, so it would have been a very rather uncomfortable experience. The other bits in the cabin, well, fairly alright to be honest. The dash top has a nice and squidgy feel to it. The majority of the center horizontal is all to do with the touch screen, and the part towards the passenger side has a very nice and very cool looking aluminum finish with a Quattro badge on it, and that basically is telling you clearly that you're in the lap of an all-wheel drive setup. The dials and buttons, they're all very nicely made, and they feel very satisfying to use. There is then a charging, of course, wireless charging pad that you get. It's also very easily accessible, and the gear lever is also put in just the right spot. The steering wheel also has buttons and dials on it for cruise control, navigating through the digital screen in front of the driver, and to also let you go through the audio files and stuff like that. So ergonomically, it is a pleasant place to be, and the cabin is pretty okay on practicality as well. And now, the not so pleasant bits. The reversing camera is the first one. It's not good at all. The visual field lacks definition. It is full of noise, and the guidelines just do not look sharp enough. This is definitely not something that a customer spending well over 50 lakh Indian rupees is going to like. The general feel from the plastics towards the lower part of the cabin is a little underwhelming. It feels sturdy enough, no doubt about it, and don't get me wrong over there, but the terribly grainy texture and the shiny look of the plastics on the doors, the lower part of the dash, etc., it just gives the feel of this being a little low rent. There are also no sun blinds. Fine, you can argue that it's something that Audi will reserve for the more expensive models. But my argument is, I don't want the electrically adjusting gizmo fest in here. Just give me very regular manual sun blinds, please. That will be very nice. And then the access to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto is through a wired connection. That is just bizarre. I'm not even going to press hard on the omission of driver assist features, things like lane keep and adaptive cruise, but these are things that even 20 lakh rupee cars are offering these days. So, just saying. On safety, it's a bit middle of the road again. Yes, there are 6 airbags, ISOFIX, anchors on the back, the regular array of ABS, EBD, ESC and stuff like that, but that's about it. And now on to the driving experience. Well, it's okay, nothing extraordinary and not fun in any way at all. It's your typical regular Audi experience, which is reassuringly balanced. The ride is good, no doubt. There is good amount of rubber on the wheels, 235 section tires on 18-inch rims with 55 aspect ratio. So there is a healthy amount of sidewall that you get. Specific to the suspension, McPherson struts at the front, it's a folding setup at the rear, and it affords good absorption, not much of the annoying soft oscillation that you relate with softly sprung cars, and it settles down all beautifully well. So overall, the ride quality gets a good score. The steering feels a bit synthetic though. Does it do the job? 100%. Does it give you much in the way of feel and connection? Not quite. But that's okay as long as it helps in linear directional changes. The engine, well, the car that we have here sports a 40 TFSI tag, which means it's got a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder engine that produces a maximum power of 190 PS between 4200 and 6000 RPM and 320 Newton meters between 1500 and 4100 RPM. The gearbox that works through 2 electro-hydraulically controlled clutches, wet clutches that is, sometimes takes its own time to kick down when the throttle is applied with a bit of a sudden force. But to go about at a steady pace with a non-aggressive throttle input, it is absolutely fine. The Sportback is a little over 1600 kilos unladen. So with everything kind of factored in, it is going to be about 1700 kilos or thereabouts, which is okay for this torque level to manage without much trouble. And the resultant effect of that is that the Sportback will do a 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in a clean time of 7.3 seconds. So it's fairly swift as well. The car also gets different drive modes. You can select your drive modes from this button over here, go from efficiency to comfort, auto, dynamic, individual, in which you can set your own preferences. And there is also an option of going off-road, which basically just alters the traction. And traction is what Quattro, or that famous technology by Audi, is all about. And it is the Quattro all-wheel drive setup that really defines Audis, all Audis. And here, the on-demand system, it does fairly well in this car, as expected, of course. The grip levels are pretty good till you decide on becoming a lunatic behind the wheel, and the general driving nature of this car is safe understeer when you push it a little bit. But really, do not push this thing because it is not the RS model. It is not going to take very kindly to your inputs. This is for normal road use, and for that, it's absolutely fine. So what do I make of the Q3 Sportback? As a transportation tool, it's okay for 4 people. Don't be an idiot on the throttle pedal, and you may even like it actually. The seats are good, but I wish it had a little bit more space. It's quite basic on features, and the grainy, shiny plastics do not give it the upmarket look to go with that brand badge. It is a funkier Q3 with a slight advantage on style and design flair, and a fair disadvantage on practicality. So it's down to your lifestyle choices. This Sportback, especially in this shade of blue, is going to catch a lot of attention, and that is what it is primarily made for.